All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast. And for the third segment of today's show, we're just going to go over the scores from this past weekend, and we'll try to get into the top performers as well. I'll try to go through the box scores, see who had good games. So that was one of the things I was going to do for Friday's show. I had a list of, a few guys that performed well, at least on Thursday night, and this was for Friday's show. And again, I listened back to the video, and there was no audio at all. And I'm like, well, I can't use that, so that segment was pretty much a waste. I did go into talking about, maybe an Immaculate Grid segment, and I think I might want to save that, and I did talk about this, I think, on Friday. Per Friday's show, if you make sure to tune in and watch that. I think I'm going to wait more towards when the season's over, because there's going to be times where there's going to be nothing to talk about. There might be nothing going on. And I think Immaculate Grid would be a nice little, interaction to have with you guys. So that would be a lot of fun. But, so that's basically why you didn't see a top performers list. But yeah, I'll try to get through that and see. We'll go through the scores and see who had good games. So Friday, we got 3 days to cover. So Friday, Diamondbacks picked up a huge win, winning 1-0 over the Cubs. Right now, the Diamondbacks have that third wild card spot, and we'll get into that in the next segment. So they've been playing a lot better. Definitely, they heard me saying I would pick either the Reds or the Marlins. So now they're starting to play better baseball. But yeah, top performer there is Zach Gallen for the Diamondbacks. He's had a great year, 15-7, 3.31 ERA. Now a shutout. He's one of the keys. He's why the Diamondbacks. He's one of the reasons why the Diamondbacks are where they are. So yeah, that's top performer right there. The Cardinals, they beat the Reds 9-4. That's a big loss for the Reds. They're trying to keep pace in the wild card standings. The Rays beat the Mariners 7-4. So they're trying to keep up with the Orioles. And the Mariners, they're trying to keep pace in the West. They still got a chance to win the West, and that's not what you want there. White Sox beat the Tigers 6-0. Dodgers beat the Nationals 8-5. Marlins, they beat the Phillies 3-2. Blue Jays beat the Royals 5-4. The Orioles were all over the Red Sox 11-2. Braves won 8-2 over the Pirates. A's beat the Rangers, so that was a rough loss for them, because that's another team that just, they started off strong, and now recently they just have been struggling a whole lot. And a lot of people just point to, them trading for Max Scherzer and Aroldis Chapman, because Chapman has blown games for them. And Max Scherzer, in a big spot, has not produced. And I talked about it when they were playing the Astros, and how he gave up 7 earned runs. And yeah, when they needed him to deliver, he just didn't. Padres beat the Astros 11-2. And these are all the scores from Friday. Blake Snell picked up his 13th win. The Twins beat the Mets 5-2. So again, again, I keep saying it, they're probably going to win the division. So there's really no concern there. Guardians beat the Angels 6-3, and the Giants won 9-8 over the Colorado Rockies. So that's Friday's scores. And then, also the Yankees lost 8-2, and that was the game that Luis Severino got hurt. So, so now we go to Saturday's games. So the Brewers beat the Yankees again, 9-2. Not much really to talk about there. The Twins beat the Mets again, 8-4. Diamondbacks again beat the Cubs. So actually, now at this point with Saturday's game, they were only a game back, and right now they're 2 games back in the current standings. But we'll get into that in the next segment. Blue Jays again beat the Royals 5-1. Dodgers actually lost to the Nationals on Saturday 7-6 in walk-off fashion. Rays again beat the Mariners 7-5. And then this was actually a game that was a slugfest. 13-12, the Orioles beat the Red Sox to pick up their 90th win. Devers had 4 hits. Abreu had 5 hits for the Red Sox. Trevor Story had 3 hits. Aaron Hicks, he had 3 hits, 3 for 4, 3 RBIs. Yeah, that was a slugfest. And you know what? Good for Aaron Hicks and Joey Gallo. Because they went from a team that is not making the playoffs to now they're on teams that are going to. Well, Gallo was on the Dodgers last year briefly. But he's on the Twins. They're a first-place team. And guess what? The Orioles are a first-place team as well. So they went from a team that's going to finish in last place to teams that are finishing in first place. So good for them, really. Phillies picked up the win against the Marlins, 8-4. Tigers won 3-1. Cardinals again beat the Reds, so that's really not what you want with the Reds, especially them trying to fight for that playoff spot, losing to the Cardinals, who have just had a disastrous season. The Rangers got back on track. They won 3-2. Astros won 7-5 over the Padres. Pirates beat the Braves 8-4. The Giants won 9-1, so they needed that. They're trying to stay in it as well. And the Angels won 6-2. So those are the scores from Saturday. And then we get to the games for Sunday, for yesterday. Or no, today's Tuesday. What am I saying? For Sunday. So the Yankees won in walk-off fashion 4-3. Corbin Burns was throwing a no-hitter. And actually, the Yankees were getting no-hit through 10 innings. I think they picked up their first hit in the 11th inning. Oswaldo Cabrera got an RBI double, tied the game at 1. And then Stanton hit a 2-run home run when the Brewers put up a 2 spot in the top of the 12th. So they tied it at 3, and then Kyle Higashioka had a walk-off double. So Yankees get back down to 71-72. Marlins got a big win over the Phillies. They won 5-4. David Robertson actually picked up the win in that game. And the Rays actually, again, beat the Mariners. So Mariners had a rough series at the Trop, losing those games to the Rays. So Rays are at 88 wins. So they're they're still hanging around with all the stuff happening off the field with their best player. They still have kept it together, and they're playing good baseball. So, we're going to see. They could catch up to the Orioles. They really can. It's going to be really close. Tigers, they won 3-2 over the White Sox. Not really much to say there. Red Sox, they picked up a win on the Orioles, 7-3. So, they're still technically in it, like the Yankees. But, we're both not going anywhere. But good win for them. Dodgers, 7-3 over the Nationals. So they're at 87 wins on the season. Braves, they picked up a win, 5-2 over the Pirates. Blue Jays again beat the Royals. So now with that loss on Sunday, Royals are at 100 losses on the season. So, it's just crazy. I was in 10th grade when they won the World Series. And now this team is where they are right now, and it's just, who knows when they're going to be. They're going through the same thing the Orioles went through all those years when they were bad. So, but yeah, it's just kind of crazy how times are different with that. The Reds, they beat the Cardinals 7-1. So that was good that they got that win. Astros are all over the Padres. They won 12-2. Mets won 2-0 against the Twins to salvage that last game of the series. Cubs won 5-2, so they picked up a win against the Diamondbacks in their series. The Rangers, they won 9-4 over the A's. So the A's, it's crazy because the A's, they looked like they were going to have the worst record in baseball. And right now the Royals have it at this moment in time. Angels win 2-1 over the Guardians, and then the Giants win 6-3 over the Rockies. So, yeah, now we get to Monday's games. So the Yankees and Red Sox were postponed. So actually the Braves and the Phillies had a doubleheader, and they split it. Braves won 10-8 in 10 innings. So a lot of scoring in that game. Top of the lineup for the Phillies, their top 4 guys each had 2 hits. Schwarber, Trey Turner. Trey Turner, OPS is at 787. He's almost at 800. So he's really picked it up, ever since that bad game in Miami. Bryce Harper, we're talking about it. He played first base, 296 batting average, 880 OPS. So you kind of hope that Jason Dominguez can bounce back and do the same thing off of his UCL injury. Alec Boehm had 2 hits and 3 RBIs. Acuna, he had 2 hits. Austin Riley had 2 hits. Matt Olson had a hit, 2 RBIs. I think that's the game that he hit his 50th home run or one. Let's see. Let's look right now, really quickly. He had an RBI double. So, but yeah. Then the second game, Phillies won 7-5. Phillies are going to get that top wild card spot. So, yeah, they are. That's a team that could definitely make it back to the World Series, and especially with Zach Wheeler at the top and their lineup. Yeah, Phillies are going to be a tough team, especially if they face the Braves again, because the Phillies are the team that eliminated the Braves from the playoffs last year. So, but yeah, so they split. Nationals, they beat the Pirates 6-2. Orioles won 11-5 over the Cardinals. This is a big series right here. Rangers and the Blue Jays, they started a series, and the Rangers won 10-4 yesterday. Chris Bassett, he picked up the loss. Dunning picked up the win. But yeah, these are big games right here for both of these teams because they're fighting for that third wild card spot, and also the second one as well. So that's a big series right there. Diamondbacks, they picked up a win over the Mets, 4-3. So that's good for them. Rays won 7-4 against the Twins. So right now they're at 89 wins on the season. And like I talked about in the first segment, Brandon Woodruff, he picked up his 5th win on the season. He has a 1.93 ERA in his starts this season. Brewers were all over the Marlins, 12-0. So that's a big win for them. Again, the Cubs are right behind them, and like I said, I've been saying that last series could come down to that, as long as it stays the way it is. The A's, they defeated the Astros 4-0. It's kind of interesting how I don't want to say that the A's don't own the Astros, but I feel like the Astros do have problems with the A's, even if the A's aren't particularly good, because I think they might have swept the Astros last year. I don't know why the Astros have problems with the A's, but yeah. So A's right now the Royals have the worst record in baseball. A's right now sit at 99 losses. So the Cubs, they got back to their winning ways, 5-4 over the Rockies. Drew Smyly picked up the win in that game, his 11th win on the season. And the Angels, in 11 innings, they beat the Mariners 8-5, 68-77. And there's going to be a segment on the show where we go over everything that happened with the Angels this season in more depth, because I think it's really important to touch upon that. And also another headline that I forgot to mention, the Angels are open to trading Mike Trout. And yeah, I think at this point they need to tear it down and get him out of there, because it's not working. It just isn't working. Giants, in walk-off fashion, they beat the Guardians 5-4. And then the Padres beat the Dodgers 11-8. But it's, too little, too late. I mean, with the Padres, thought this team was going to be very good. So many people thought that. I mean, how could they not be with that lineup? And the fact that they sit here right now at 68-77 is just it's mind-boggling. It really is. But I would say run it back. Give it another year. And if it doesn't work next year, then I think it's time to you got to do something. Because, I mean, you look at the run differential. The run differential is really good. It's just they've lost a lot of close games. So, but yeah, it's been a rough go for the Padres. So that's the game recaps from this weekend. Ran through a lot of games. So with that, we're going to take our final break of the show. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about the current standings all around baseball. So again, just to remind you guys to tip or donate to the program and get your comments recognized, go to streamelements.com/gsmcsportsnetwork./tip. Again, this really helps the show, and this is for bonus coverage, and it's stuff that you won't see on this broadcast. So if you go to patreon.com and search up GSMC Sports Network, that's where you can donate, and we really would appreciate that. So with that, we are going to take our final break of the show, and then when we come back, we are going to talk about the wild card races and what the divisional standings are. So stick around. We will be right back here on the GSMC Baseball Podcast.